How's it going, everyone? Javita here with a crash course on, well, shop stands and request baskets. This was requested by Dave Middleton on YouTube, and basically kind of says that he's new to trying to run a shop and was kind of confused about all the ins and outs of shop stands and request baskets. He called out specifically the budget on the request basket, which yeah, I guess this can be a little bit confusing if you just really have nothing else to maybe compare this to, but to break it down in its simplest form, if you are trying to sell a finished product for money, you're going to want to use a shop stand. So to use a shop stand, you simply open it up, drag down the stuff you want to sell to other players, and you come over to price list and you set a price. So right now I already have this set up to 100 coins per rough Oort stone, and yeah, that's about it. That's a rather high price for rough Oort stone, but yeah. And if you come over here, you can also see your profit. So if somebody comes along and actually buys this item, the coins will collect here, and then you can collect them at your convenience. Okay, so I just removed all permissions from this character on this beacon, so now it's a little bit hard to see. Maybe I find there we go, those are much better angles. So right here, when you're looking at a shop stand, conveniently you can see that this shop stand is selling 98 rough Oort stone at 100 coins each. So I can come over here, drag down what I want, and make the purchase. Now, something to keep in mind is that there is tax on shop stands and request baskets. So if I come over here, you see that this first number, that is what the customer is actually going to pay. So as you saw, it was going to cost me 100 coins to buy this rough Oort stone. However, I'm only going to get 93 of those 100 coins, and that's because there is a 10% world tax. There's also this after skill, so under equipment crafting next to bulk and mass crafting, there is a skill that will reduce your tax rate by 25%. Now that sounds pretty amazing, but that is 25% of this 10%, so it really only ends up reducing it down to 7% or something like that, or 7.5%, I think, to be more exact. It does not show up on shop stands for some reason, unless you are the owner of the beacon. It still applies. So normally if this really was 10%, then this should be 90 over here, but as you can see, it's 93. So I'm saving or making an extra 3 coins per rough Oort stone thanks to the tax reduction skill that Javita has. This is not actually my main character. This is usually my camera guy, but as you can see, my main character over here is Javita, and he's able to on the fly give and take away permissions to make this go a little bit easier. But he has the tax skills, and the tax skills go off of the owner of the land, not the person setting up the shop stand. So if we come over here and set a price for these rough Oort stones, you can see that after the skill, the tax rate is 7.5%. So just like there's a tax on the shop stand, there's also a tax on the request basket. So you can see right here, the customer is going to get 100 coins. So right up here, you can see that 100 coins. So you're setting what the customer receives. However, because there's a 7.5% tax, then each item is actually costing you 107 coins instead of just that 100 coins. So yeah, if I didn't have the tax skills, then it would be 110 coins. Okay, so just give it a quick example. So I no longer have permissions to the shop stand, so I can buy from it like any other person. So right here, see, it's going to cost me 100 coins. Go ahead and make this purchase. Tells me I spent 100 coins, and then I'll give myself the permissions back. So I'm here to collect my coin. Right off the bat, looking at this stand, I can see that I still have 97 in stock and that I have 93 coins to collect. So unfortunately, I did lose about 7 coins in that transaction, but yeah, just to further illustrate that the tax does go off of the skills of the landowner, not the person setting up the actual shop stand. So if you're sharing a shop with somebody else and they own the land, they are the only ones that actually need the tax reduction skills. It doesn't benefit you unless you're setting up shop stands on your own land. So come in here and I can collect my coin. So quite nice. Okay, so moving on to request baskets, they're a tad bit more of a involved process, but you come over here to this very first tab of item. You can drop in whatever you want. This is the target of what you want to purchase. As you can see, the item that you put in here doesn't actually go in there. It's just kind of like a paper mache. It's not really there. So as you can see, I tried to put in 2 rough Oort stone. It looks like there's 1 in there, but my 2 rough Oort stone are still there. Next up, I actually have to set a price of what I'm willing to pay for this item. You come over here, and depending on what you put in here, you might have a lot of options. So if I put in a piece of ore, it would show me all the ore or all the metal that I could possibly buy. So that would be literally everything from copper all the way up to titanium. As you can see, if you put in rough Oort stone, it gives you all of the gems as an option. So you could set up one request basket to buy all of these different things. So let's see here, rough Oort stone. I want to buy each one for, there we go. Let's do 20 coins. And you can see that each one of these is actually going to cost me 21 coins. So you can play around with this price a little bit to see, because at a certain point, it won't cost any tax. So if we do 19, about 11, 12, oops, where's the 3? There's 13. Okay, so I can go all the way up to 13 coins and I won't be charged any tax. This is of course with the tax skill. So if you don't have any of the tax skills, then the highest you'd be able to go is up to 9 coins, and that way you avoid taxes, basically. So in other words, you can play around with the price and see like, oh, I'm crossing some little threshold that I'm paying a little bit extra in taxes. You can experiment and see what number you have to put in there to drop the taxes that you're paying just a little bit and see if it really is going to make a difference to your bottom line. So as you can see here at 26, I'm still only paying 1 coin in taxes. If I bump it up to 27, I'm now paying 2 coins in taxes. So really that 1 extra coin added to the price really isn't going to do me any good unless I'm going to go significantly higher than just 27. So just something to keep in mind. I can go ahead and confirm that price. Let's how about we set some prices for some of these other things. So now, as you can see, whenever we look at the shop stand, that it cycles through all the items that it wants to buy. Now, set up how it is, this is not going to do anything for you. We set some prices, but it has a 0 coin budget. So right here you can see that there's a 0 coin budget and that there's 0 items to collect. If we actually want to make some purchases, we have to give the request basket some coins or give it a budget. So this is a pretty handy little feature because this will also limit how many items you're willing to buy. So let's see here, I'm willing to spend, how about 50,000 on all the different things that I'm willing to buy. So there we go. Now you can see when we look at it that we have a 50,000 coin budget and 0 items to collect. Okay, so I just removed all permissions, and now when I look at this, I can see that it's telling me that it's buying 50,000 at 1 coin each, and each time this cycles through, it's going to update this information. So that rough Oort stone only is buying that 1,700 and something, and it also lists how much per item it's going to buy at. So if you're coming along and, oh, I want to sell the rough Oort stone, then it will tell me exactly how many I can sell to the request basket before it runs out of money. If I try to sell it too many, it'll just say that the basket does not have enough coin. So pretty handy feature. So as you can see here, it's a bit of a trade-off. It's convenient for the shopkeeper to have one shop stand sell multiple items. However, it's a bit of an inconvenience to your potential customer because now they're coming up to it, and as you can see, it doesn't cycle items when it's not looked at. So as a potential seller to this basket, I don't really know if that basket is going to buy multiple items until I look at it. And let's say I'm only interested in selling the rough Oort stone. Now I have to sit here and stare at it until it actually displays the rough Oort stone, and then it doesn't stay up for very long at that. So if you're interested in being the most convenient for your customers, you would want to set up a request basket for each individual item, but then as a shopkeeper, that takes up a lot of extra space and requires a lot of extra shop baskets to boot. So it's a bit of a trade-off there. Also, the on-screen notifications can often occlude this information. So if you travel through a lot of portals in order to get to the shop and you're trying to see that one particular item you're interested in, and then all of a sudden across the screen is telling you that you've entered settlement on whatever world, and so it's like if finally the item you're interested in comes up and then just in time for it to get covered up. So it can be a little bit annoying. Thankfully on the testing servers this issue has already been resolved. You'll now get only one news flash notification up here, and then all subsequent information will be displayed on the side of the screen over here as minor little notifications. So it's a lot less annoying for that type of issue. Certainly at any time you can interact with a basket or a stand and go over to item prices and see the prices listed here. It does not, however, tell you how many items you can sell to a request basket before it runs out of coin, so there's that. And coming back over to the shop stand for a moment, just like the request basket, you can put in anything into this section as long as they smart stack together. So I can't put these doors or these locks or anything else in here, but as long as it falls into that kind of gem category, you can put it in there and then set a price for each individual item. And just like the request basket, it will cycle through the different items when you look at it. So quite handy. And if I remove all the permissions, now when I look at it, you can see that for each item, how many is being sold and at what price. So quite nice. Coming back over to the request basket, here you can collect any items that have been purchased through the request basket. So just like the earnings or the profit on the shop stand, how you collect the coin, here you can come over here, and here is the inventory for collecting the items that you've purchased. So pretty nice. Okay, so that should cover the basics on how to set these up as a shop. So now I'd like to go over some of the unique or interesting alternative uses for these things. One of my favorite uses for shop stands is that you can use them as an inventory storage device. So as you might have noticed, I have a lot of shop stands all over my home, and that is because I use them as inventory basically. So you can come over here, and as long as you have a lot of a particular type of item like stone, then you can pack up to 16 smart stacks of that item. So very, very handy for massive storage. There's no other block in the game that you can fit 16 stacks into one block. You of course have your storage shelves over here that have no restrictions on them, but as you can see, each block can only hold 4 stacks. And if you have, say, a lot of stone, a lot of rock, or even a lot of tools, you can pack a lot of stuff away into a small area. A good thing to note is that even if a player does not have permissions to the beacon, they can still come along and see what is inside of your shop stands. So if this for some reason bothers you and you don't want people to see what's inside of the shop stands, alternatively you can use request baskets. As you can see here, I cannot see the inventory of this request basket. If I give myself permissions to it, you can see that in fact it's completely empty. So I don't have anything in there, but I can drag and drop items into here. One of the cool things about request baskets is that you can put anything inside of them. The annoying part about them, however, is that you cannot shift click items into them. So for me, that is a bit of a deal breaker. Personally, I prefer to use shop stands because, one, they force me to be a little bit more organized, keeping one shop stand for one category of item, and also not to mention the convenience of being able to shift click items in and out of shop stands. Is just, I can't live without that. So moving along, another interesting use for request baskets is basically as a form of a piggy bank. So the safest place for your coin is in your inventory. This is because if you leave coin in like a shop stand or a request basket and the beacon expires, it leaves them exposed to either world regeneration or other players. However, if you need to be able to share coins between players for some reason, you can use a request basket and head over to the budget and store coins into here. And if another player needed to come along and say, oh, I need to collect 1,000 coins out of this, all they have to do is click here and set the budget to, let's see here, how about 49,000, and that is going to give that player 1,000 coins and basically allows you to trade coins back and forth even if both parties are not online. So kind of a handy use. Another good thing to note is that you can even lock these things. So I can come over here, flop a lock on here, and if I take away the worker permission, you can see that I no longer have permissions to access this basket. However, it's important to note that if the player has engineer permissions, that gives them permission to add and remove interactable blocks, so they could literally come along, break the request basket, and as you can see, the coin drops on the ground. So it's kind of really important to note that even if it's locked, they can still remove it if they have the engineer permission. And it's also good to note that even if you break the shop stand, the coins are not lost. They simply fall on the ground, which is not advisable, but you know, if you forget that there's coins in there and you break it, you don't have to worry about really losing anything. And finally, but certainly not least, an extremely inventive way to use request baskets is as a mailbox. This is a highly requested feature, and really with request baskets and location tokens, this can be made a possibility. So right here you can see that this is labeled as a mailbox, and then there's mailbox replies down here. And if you click on this sign, you can see that the owner of this shop has left some instructions. So I'll just run you through the process right quick. The request basket is set up to buy location markers for 0 coins. So it doesn't cost the shop owner anything to run this. And what you can do is say, I want to place an order for a bunch of persisting pies. So in order to leave a message, I would go over to locations by hitting U, or you could hit escape and go to places, then locations, click on current location. You're going to add this to locations list. So right here, you can name the location, and this is actually where you're going to enter your message. So testing the mailbox. So let's just see how long of a message we can actually... Okay, so you're limited to essentially that many characters, but usually you should be able to get your message across, like, oh, want to buy persisting pies at 100 coins. Go ahead and confirm that. That'll add the location down here, and what you need to do is craft the location marker. So you craft it right there, it goes into your inventory, and now you can right click on this and see the message. So this is how the shopkeeper would read the message. So come over here, sell this item. Tells me 0 coin is added, and now the message has been left. You can come over here, and then under mailbox replies, he can leave messages. So apparently Uber Noob placed an order, and he put a little note here that the delivery is completed. So a few notes on this. As far as I can tell, there's no identifier identifying the person that actually made the token. So you potentially would want to sign your token, so just put in a name or maybe abbreviation of your name, and if you need to leave a longer message, you could do like a one of X number of tokens, and you could split up your message between multiple tokens, and then the recipient could then piece the message together as long as they know the appropriate order. So 1 of 5 and then 2 of 5 and so on. So pretty awesome. So all in all, that is a pretty ingenious and awesome use of a request basket to supplement a feature that is yet to be added into the game. So pretty amazing, and have to give credit where credit's due. This is Prometheus's shop, and yeah, awesome job, Prometheus. I don't know for sure if he's the one that actually came up with this, but this is the only mailbox request basket I have seen so far. So my assumption is that he's the one that came up with it. So pretty amazing. Okay, well, I think that covers shop stands and request baskets pretty well. This was Javita. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more like this. And if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel and want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.